Even with as much adult content that is coming west in more recent years, there are still some words that you just don't put into a search engine on a console. You take a word like hentai on the Nintendo eShop and you're not gonna find any. Okay, all jokes aside, East Asia Soft sent me this game as a review copy a while back. I played it for a few minutes and thought, maybe I shouldn't do coverage of this, not really being able to take it seriously at first glance. But after some time passed, I went back to it and wanted to do coverage as I did tell them that I would. So, here is my review of Hentai vs. Evil for the Nintendo Switch. The story of this game revolves around people having been turned into zombies and demons. It is up to you, a female anime protag, to take up arms against these threats. Your job is to hunt down the Grim Reapers and to rescue other anime girls that have been locked up in cages. And that is about all you get when you read the eShop summary. There is no story to speak of in-game, so that setting description is all we have in terms of the plot. When it comes to gameplay, this is an arcade-style third-person shooter. To give you a little bit of background, this is something I never expected to see on a console, along with its predecessor Hentai vs. Virus. It first showed up on itch.io, a website for people to sell and distribute very small indie titles. And before going on, let's address the loot factor. Hentai vs. Evil has a feature on the main menu called Uncensored Mode. And this is exactly what it sounds like. On the Switch, it makes the characters' clothing see-through and will show them topless with their breasts and nipples on full display. Whereas the PS4 and 5 version had the uncensored mode removed, while the PC version shows full nudity instead of them just being topless. But getting back to the game, we have 3 playable characters that can be modified in a sort of create a character way. You can't do anything detailed with their facial features, but the dress-up mode lets you grow or shrink the thigh, breast, and height of the character. You can also swap between different outfits, hair color, and skin tone. This isn't terribly elaborate, but does give you a slight amount of customization, or if you just want to see them running around gunning down zombies in their pajamas. When you actually dive into the game, you have 3 different maps in a couple different arcade-style modes called Rescue and Survivor. Each of these has you navigating a pretty large sandbox environment with hordes of zombies, orcs, and Grim Reapers that wander around and chase you. Your goal is to find weapons lying around and shoot them down as quickly as possible. There are multiple weapon drop locations in each map, and you do get a fair number of different sorts of weapons to choose from. You start out with assault rifles and shotguns, but a bit of exploration can lead you to machine guns, grenade launchers, and a sniper rifle. Rescue mode is the way you unlock the different playable characters. This has you finding and gunning down 12 Grim Reaper enemies to unlock a cage that houses one of the female protags. You've just got to manage the hordes of enemies that follow you around as you fulfill these objectives and follow a marker to the cage where you can end the game and recruit them. Survivor is a bit more difficult as the enemies don't just wander around aimlessly like in Rescue mode. It is based on enemy waves, so all enemies that are spawned into the map will know where you are and be running towards you all at once. In concept, this is a neat little arcade shooter. You get a variety of weapons, and moving around the large environments is pretty interesting. Plus, the game is a bit forgiving with allowing you to get respawning health drops when you get caught, and every weapon has unlimited ammo. The problem is a severe lack of polish and overall content. It has each concept there to be fun, but none of it is fully fluid and developed. The aiming is extremely floaty, especially with a scoped rifle. One slight movement with the right analog will send the scope looking far in another direction. Other lack of polish involve the enemy animations and a delay with different control commands. The sprint command in particular has a delay and doesn't always go when you hit the button. Unfortunately, this lack of polish hides a game that could be a lot of dumb fun to play. When I got into the city map with the machine gun, I had a lot of legitimate fun with gunning down enemies that I came across, at least when the reticle didn't move to weird places on me. Sure, it was always the same 3 enemy types, but given the right setting and weapon, there is fun to be had. There's even an online leaderboard feature for sharing your high score. Content is the other big downside. A single run through rescue to unlock a character will take you as little as 10 minutes to do. By the time I had been playing the game for about 40-45 minutes, I already had all characters unlocked and all 3 maps beaten at least once. There are no unlockables past characters, so unless you really love replaying it, you'll be spending $10 for less than a single hour. Now let's talk presentation. It's definitely a bit rough, especially in the daytime maps. The characters don't have a lot of detail, and neither do the enemies or environments. Some of the trees and bushes in the town map even look like they came from a few console generations back. But oddly enough, the night-based city map actually looks pretty decent. Performance is pretty good overall. When playing rescue mode, the frame rate is buttery smooth. The only time I ever got drops were during Survivor, and I had a pretty large horde running after me. With that out of the way, let's dive into battery life. On the original and Switch Lite models, we get a range of about 3 to 5 hours, and the Redboxer V2 2019 model gets a range of 5.5 to 7 hours. In conclusion, Hentai vs. Evil is a very strange game to see on a console, let alone the Switch. There is something here that could be a pretty decent and competent arcade shooter, but the severe lack of content and polish in nearly every aspect of the adventure keep it from being more than that indie shooter over there with the topless nudity mode. Supporters of this developer may want to grab it, but be sure to know what you're getting into beforehand. Reviews to go rates Hentai vs. Evil for the Nintendo Switch a 4.5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.